Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast, and this show is
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Been kind of difficult to do because someone went in and changed all my settings. Because there's this place that I go to record this podcast, and it's a threatening place because the computer's also used by other people, and one of the people apparently had to put me
Mike's Daily Podcast
through my paces, and I had to basically rebuild this entire show.
Mike's
Open.
Daily
So it might sound
Podcast.
a tad different
Yeah!
from the way you usually hear it, but hey, variety is the spice of life, right? I did a test today where I discovered, by the way, this is episode 2211-2211. That's very nice, those numbers. Located here somewhere in Podcastro Valentino, the last place on earth, cafe anyway. My lovely lady friend, who is a therapist, you know, you've heard the what's the cliche about when you date a psychologist or a therapist that you are going to be psychoanalyzed at some point. Listen, I was psychoanalyzed constantly when I was married to someone who studied had a psychology degree. But she would ask me all the time, why do you do that? Why do you do that? Why do you do it that way? Why? And I'm like, okay, you don't even have a master's in psychology. Why are you asking me these things? So my lovely lady friend found a test that finds out, you know, kind of looks under the hood of your brain of who Mike Matthews is, and I discovered a lot of interesting things about me. I don't like a lot of noises, apparently, distracting noises that cause me to not focus on what I'm doing. What am I doing? Well, I'm doing a podcast now. I was complaining.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Which is what I am wont to do, complain about things like, that somebody messed with the template that I use to make this wonderful show. I mean, really messed it up to the point I couldn't even figure out what was going on with the how it was set up. So yes, I was angry, Basil the Boxer. I know, but I have fixed it for the time being, and we will see how it goes. The late great Basil the Boxer there. I actually I put a folder within a folder within a folder that has the template. We're talking here in Adobe Audition terms. For some of you who don't even know what that is, that's some kind of sound audio software editing program. And I put the template for this folder within a folder within a folder, and there might have been some profanity in the name of the folder to kind of scare away whoever it was that messed with my template. But that's all I want to complain about for now. The green hills of the Podcastro Valentino where I am are beautiful. The beautiful Mount Diablo in the background. The trees are swaying ever so lightly. We live in a world where people are anti-vaxxing. I don't know how Christianity and anti-vaxxing somehow got connected. You would think we should, if you believe in a God, you believe that God granted us these bodies, and you shouldn't mess with these bodies. A body is a temple. You've heard that sort of thing. So we should want to protect our bodies, right? Eat healthy. Try not to overload on sugars or fats or salt. Salt hurting your blood pressure. Sugars causing you to be diabetic, fats causing you to be fat, which can lead to diabetes, etc. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but I know a little bit about this and that. However, I am hearing people in Christianity, their pastors or other affiliations that are saying, no, you shouldn't get this vaccine. As if the devil himself manufactured it. Oh no, it was created by scientists, and you can't trust scientists, and the government is mandating you take these these chemicals to put in your system. No, the government is not. In fact, people are wanting to get the shot because they want to go back outside and live life again. I don't understand the conspiracy theories that have run amok in this world. I don't know if that is a very healthy way of living when you have one conspiracy theory after another. Years ago, there was a guy named Bill Handel. Gosh, and it's so funny, I just remembered his name because all morning I was trying to think of his name. Back when I lived in near Los Angeles, and I was working in Thousand Oaks at a radio station called KNJO, which is long gone. But I would have to do the overnight shift because I was just getting started in radio. And this is like 1991. Bill Handel knew at this point in our world, in the early 90s, there were conspiracy theories. One of them being that the Holocaust did not happen, that all of the people who were killed in Germany, the utter just despicableness of the Nazis that they did, the people were actually rationalizing, oh, not that many Jews died. This crazy thought, this conspiracy theory, oh, no, it's just the media making up these numbers. It's just the Jewish community making up these numbers. They didn't really suffer that much, which is just complete. Why would you even go on that tangent of thinking? Why do you need to even think that way? Why do you need to even... And then in the same boat, the whole thing about, the moon landing didn't actually happen. The earth is flat. But, okay, back then there was the Holocaust denier conspiracy theory. And Bill Handel, he started off as a lawyer. He had a lawyer show on the AM station in LA, this big AM talk station. And he was on a station that also had Rush Limbaugh. The late Rush Limbaugh, and he was doing this show in the morning, and I used to hear the replay on the overnight. And Bill Handel said, I want to tell you right now that the Holocaust did not happen, and I'd like to have you call in right now and express, why you think that the Holocaust didn't happen, and we can commiserate on how we both agree on this point. So all these people call in that believe that, right? And they're talking to Bill Handel, and Bill Handel's like, yeah, right, I absolutely agree with you. Okay. At the end of the hour, he said, okay, to all of you people, as we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro, Valentino, to all of you people that believe that the Holocaust did not happen, you are, and then he said a curse word, and then said something like, you're nuts, but used a bunch of curse language, and they had to bleep him when he said it. Now I'm going to talk to the people that believe this, and I'm talking to a psychologist that it's going to explain why people feel the need to believe that the Holocaust didn't happen. And even then, Bill Handel dug into the world of conspiracy theories and why people have conspiratorial thoughts. And this is all the way back in the early 90s. My gosh, that's 30 years ago. So here we are now in an internet savvy world where people get bored. They look at their smartphones. They look at their news feed that's custom designed for them. Oh, I'll agree. Big Tech, not Bill Tech. Although if your name's Bill Tech, how you doing? Big Tech does want your eyeballs. They want you to click away. And the more clicks you do for them, the more money they make on you. Absolutely. But at the same time, they're like, people are feeding themselves a diet of things that maybe aren't true. With that thought, though, then the conspiracy theorists have their thing. Well, the social media and the media world is telling us things that aren't true. And I know a guy who's a smart guy in money, and he's been known for a long time to be good with money. He totally believes that the election was a fraud, and he's writing a book about it. Why in the people, and he's not a real journalist, but he's gone out and done his own digging, and this is what he believes, and he's trying to prove it. And he's actually going to have lunch with my mom in a couple weeks. And my mom is like, yeah, the election was a total fraud. Okay. just blows my mind. I wanted to talk about other things, like grandparents, but I got into my whole fear of conspirators, of conspiracy theorists, and I got a little swept away. And then I wanted to talk about grandparents, that this one person said about their grandparent, their grandpa, during the thunderstorms up on Lake Huron in the summer. Lake Huron is beautiful. Watching this thing called the, what are they called? The Adventure Archives. It's these 4 kids that go hiking in these amazing places. And they get a lot of views on YouTube. And they use really good HD quality cameras. And they film themselves walking, which is funny because they set up these little camera stands, the little tripods, and so they walk basically with the camera on the tripod, and then they'll stop, put a camera down on a tripod, and then walk away from it, and they film themselves walking away. And then later they edit all the footage, and it looks like somebody's filming them walking along, but they're doing all this by themselves, total DIY. And they have these beautiful views, Lake Huron. But Francine Dale Heatley wrote, during the thunderstorms up on Lake Huron in the summer, my grandpa John would hold my hand while we watched the storm over the lake. He was a kind soul, and I miss his sage advice and his unconditional love for me. Aww. Now that's something positive that grandparents did, until they got into a conspiracy theory rant about something. Although I don't remember my grandma ever being a conspiracy theorist. I remember, nope. Only one so far is my dad. No, wait. My dad's friend Bob, he was kind of conspiracy. I can't really think of anyone. But some, we all have had relatives that say they say the interestingest things. I'm completely excellent in vocabulary, as you can tell. And look who's outside a cafe anyway.
Hello, Michael Matthew. It's Madame Rootabega, and I love this podcast today. It is so interesting, and it's different and unusual. Oh,
Because there's a different thing. I had to set up the whole background noise and everything differently than I used to because someone destroyed my template.
I don't know what you mean. Oh,
So, do you like templates?
yes.
Do you like eggs?
Yes.
Do you like random questions?
No.
Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, it appears that you've had a trying day so far today with everything that you're talking about today.
Yeah, trying. Do you know that?
I guess I have. All kinds of things going on today. And by the way, if you ever have to reboot or reset an Adobe Audition session, apparently you close the session, and then when you open it, you hold down the Shift key, and that makes everything better. If life was only like that, you could just hold down a Shift key. It's kind of like Control-Alt-Delete. And Bill Gates, or was it... Yeah, Bill Gates said that he always regretted putting the Control-Alt-Delete buttons so far away from each other on the keyboard. He goes, yeah. Over the last several decades, writes E. Arthur Self, Ph.D., diversity-related matters have been justifiably mainstreamed into the workplace, and the benefits of wide demographic input are being realized. Most of the progress regarding diversity has to do with race, ethnicity, gender, and age. But speaking of gender, I heard a guy say today on the radio that there's no such thing as gender fluidity. He goes, you may identify as some gender that you are not, but gender is not fluid. It is one thing or another. It's like a math problem. The answer to a math problem is not fluid. It's either one thing or another. And I thought, well, yeah, but what about in the quantum physics realm? Person saying this. things are kind of fluid in the quantum physics world. And I'm not going to go into an explanation about quantum physics, but from what I heard, things can be a little bit more variable. At this point, I really don't know what I'm saying. Most of the definitions of diversity tend to promote a protected class of employees who have previously not been given appropriate access to employment and or promotions. However, this model, because it is primarily front-loaded or input-focused rather than balanced, tends to fall short in achieving unity of output. Without diversity of input, unity of output can't be fully realized, particularly in highly competitive environments. Without unity of output, organizations don't survive. And diversity has been defined too narrowly and has superseded the necessity of unity of output. Diversity of input, diversity of output, and unity of wow. E. Arthur, self, you have lost me. Just as I have lost most of the people listening to this podcast. So let's wrap it up. Next show is going to be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. Check out my radio show that you can hear. There's a link at mikesdailypodcast.com to where you can hear the show. It is happening every Sunday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time, and you can find a link at mikesdailypodcast.com. Chime in about anything that we talked about. 336mm daily. 3 plus 3 equals 6. Is in Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast tries to be, but apparently has not been, because this week has been busy. Oh, one quick thing. Have you noticed that people that are always demanding a raise tend to be people that don't deserve a raise? And the people that do deserve a raise, they don't squeak. They're not the wheel that squeaks. So they don't get the oil. It's just a thing I've noticed. You can chime in. 336mm daily. Take it away, A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Oh, the podcast picture is another picture from the area known as Marshall. It's on the Tomales Bay off of Shoreline Highway. It's kind of near a hotel called the Poets Loft. I'd like to stay there, though I am not good at rhyming things, as you could hear by the song at the beginning of today's show. But you can see a picture of the wonderful area of which I speak in this cool picture that I took recently at mikesdailypodcast.com.